This is a Culture Inject production.
Welcome back to Part of Us. We have a ton to discuss this episode, so let's get on into it. But first, a little housekeeping. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at En Vogue Craze, and on Twitter at Part of Us Fancast. Ideas, interview requests, comments, or questions, please email them to us at partofusevf@gmail.com. And if you like what you hear, please rate and review our podcast.
What is trending? What's new with En Vogue? What do we need to catch up with? Well, I will say that I did go to the Mixtape tour on, I think that was Friday, May 27th. And, it was as we kind of predicted. I was there for En Vogue. I felt like in New York. I had on my sunglasses. I had my leg crossed. I was sitting in my seat. I did not want to be bothered, but I was. Like, she was only there for Flav. I was only there for En Vogue. But you had these New Kids fans that just kept harassing me. They were tapping on my shoulder, and they're like, you can get up and party with us if you want to. I don't. I wasn't trying to be like that, but like the catalog and like, I kind of have to explain how the seats were set up. It was like a T. So I'm facing forward, but a lot is happening to my side. And so like for New Kids on the Block, I'm not going to stand up. I'm not going to like turn my neck to look because I really don't care. So I was just sitting straight. At some points I got on my phone, whatever. But En Vogue was great. I enjoyed seeing them. I enjoyed seeing them in that setting, like an arena. I don't think I've ever seen them in an arena. I've seen them at a drive-thru concert. I've seen them at Savant Theater. I've seen them at like a charity event. So I've seen them in a lot of different settings, but never in an arena. I've never seen them with pyro. I've never seen them with like the big lights. So I love seeing them presented like that in such a big setting. Yeah, with the production budget. They came out and did My Love and You're Never Gonna Get It and Free Your Mind. They're in the silver kind of like, of course, iconic My Love and dresses, but they were giving Muse to me during those two performances. Jenny McCarthy was like, I saw Jenny McCarthy, like, I have to post the video. My life is just in shambles right now. But Jenny McCarthy was there. She was, showing them love. She was excited. They did great. And then, of course, it was more New Kids. And Rick Astley. So I was on the phone and I'm still being harassed, like, leave me alone. Like, they're like, get up and dance with us. And why don't you, who do you like? Which actor are you here for? Leave me alone. And so then, I had to go through several people. I think it was like, Rick Astley, New Kids, Salt and Pepper. Salt and Pepper did What a Man at some point. So, of course, En Vogue came out and they went into Don't Let Go, which was really good. And then, of course, it was even more New Kids. And then at some point, like, En Vogue did Hold On, but they didn't do the intro. And then, that was just pretty much it. I left early. I couldn't sit through. Like, it was like it got to some point where, Salt and Pepper was doing Push It, and Jordan Knight came out, and not Jordan Knight, who was it? Donnie Wahlberg. He came out, and it was just really corny. So I was like, you know what? Okay, I've done my part as a fan. I'm leaving. I left. I did go to the meet and greet earlier. The meet and greet started at 4. The concert started at 8. So I had been there all day, but at the meet and greet, I failed the team. I wasn't able to ask any questions, really. I did promote the podcast. Rona, she knew about the podcast. She did a little Raise to the Roof. She was like, I've heard about it. I've heard it's really good. I was like, you definitely have to come on. I was like, you all have to come on. Cindy and Terry, they looked, kind of, they had the deer eyes, like the artist got wide, but they didn't, acknowledge if they had heard it or not. But I do hope they all come on. I'm still waiting for my meet and greet photo. Overall, I would say, they're definitely great. I love seeing them in that setting, but, New Kids, that's just...
Good. Somebody from the group had to go. This group.
So was Cindy in the boot?
No, she was not in the boot at that point.
That's really recent. That's like a couple of 2 shows ago. It's recent.
Yeah, Stress Fracture. So I got to see them in their full glory. Like I said, for some reason they didn't do the intro to Hold On. They didn't do Who's Loving You, and I don't know what stage they were on because I just saw the screen. I was like, where is En Vogue? But I guess there's multiple stages because when one act is getting off, another is getting on. So I knew that was pretty much it. I did want to see the baby doll dresses, but I just had to leave. I was like, if when you're at a concert and somebody keeps bumping into you and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then 5 minutes later, they're doing it again. And it's just like, okay, these are microaggressions. They're not even microaggressions at that point. Like, leave me alone. So I was just kind of over it. But like I said, I'm happy I got to see them presented in that manner for like 5 songs. So that's my review.
I will say that I understand, like, you want to leave early, and like even the people who are like trying to get you to party with them, quote unquote. I hate it's kind of like let me be on my way. You know what I mean? You enjoy your time how you want to enjoy your time, but I'm enjoying my time the way I want to enjoy my time. I don't need to like be out here acting ratchet and being loud. Like I'm enjoying myself the bougie way I want to enjoy myself. So, but
I'm not gonna act ratchet for the new kids. Like, I just couldn't believe they had all those fans, and they had thought the side ponytails and the day glow and the fanny packs and stuff. Like, let's relive the 90s and the late. I wasn't there for that, so I'm sorry. I wasn't feeling it like that. But it's always good to see my girls.
Well, hopefully this won't be their last, stadium tour that has a budget behind it where we can kind of see them in that light. I hope that there is like a girl group tour or something like that they can be a part of.
Or even if they open for like Janet or something, or like a actual legend, like support an actual, Elton John or somebody, Diana Ross.
I'll be here for that for sure.
Also, get well soon, Cindy. We don't want you get out that boot. But y'all see, she was still in the gym. She was like, "I'm gonna carry this boot to the gym." So
okay, she said I'm gonna adjust my workouts for my. And I'm like, girl, no, just rest, child. You'll be fine. I mean, Cindy has always been like
snatched.
Super fit, always snatched. You know what I mean? So I'm like, girl, you not going to the gym is not going to kill you. Just rest. It's okay. But I I appreciate the passion.
They're so dedicated. I actually really love watching the tour stuff on like Instagram, like the stories, and I kind of like. I really enjoy Cindy's little tours of the backstage or whatever, because they really are very regimented. Like, they got all the good food back there, and I know they're over there eating drinking smoothies and eating salads, because like they are so fit.
Okay. They're like, oh, we have craft services. Do you want some steak? They're like, no, I have my kale and strawberry smoothie or whatever.
But that's why they look good.
So, a new photo has surfaced, courtesy of Kevin on the Craze Facebook page. Thank you, Kevin. The picture is an outtake from the photo shoot for the Don't Let Go single, with the ladies posing on the floor. What do y'all think? Me personally, I actually love this photo. I love candidates that come out editorial. Like, when it's kind of like, oh, we're in between takes having a conversation, and then the photographer just snaps the picture and it just comes out looking like this. It looks great. It looks great to me. What do you guys think?
I love it so much. I love it. Because I just think the styling is this whole shoot is just so dope to me. I love the styling of it. And I love that they're playing with levels in a way that we don't usually see. So like usually, group photos mean that everybody's tight together. I think it's an interesting, like, to have Cindy all the way standing tall, all the way down to like Max like hanging out on the ground. Like, I just think that's it's a dope photo. Like, It could have been used for something, and I kind of want to see. I would love to see all of the shots from that one. I know that it's got personality.
I like it. JP, I can't stand you. Okay, I like the photo. I mean, I don't have any. I know why. I can see kind of why the other one was selected, though. I like the other one a little bit more because they're kind of. It's more uniform with the laughter. It's there's just something. When people are laughing. I don't know. I just love pictures like that. Like, there's a picture of the Golden Girls, I think, where it's 3 of them laughing, and I think like Rose or Betty White, like, she's not laughing. I don't know. There's just something about pictures of people laughing I love. But what I really want to see, and Kevin, I thank you so much for that outtake, but Dawn talked about this session, and she was like, there was another look that they had where they have I think she said it was very clean, like they might have had on suits and like their hair was pulled back. So hopefully that surfaces soon. But I do like the outtake. It's always nice to have an outtake. I prefer their outtakes of images and videos more so than the music.
Well, I want to know how did this photo surface? Like, I mean, was it just sitting in someone's garage one day, or like, where does it come from?
Well, that's probably what it is. You know, there's so many creative people that are involved in shoots like those. Like, I think in this particular one, Orlando Pita did the hair. So just think like, you know, one of the creative people, you know, like, oh, look at this outtake. Let me put it on social media. I don't know, Kevin, you can tell us if this is, you know, how you found the picture if you want to. If you don't, you know, you could keep it, you know, locked down. But I think that's like there's a particular stylist who, you know, shot them for, I think, TV Guide, and they have them like this. It's the originals, probably around Funky Divas, and they're in Asadina Leia. Like, she shared that photo, and when she shared it, then, you know, all of the fan sites reposted it. You know, I think that's how a lot get out. I think Robert Vetica might have did their hair for the shoot that they did with Dave LaChapelle as EV3, and he just posted something that hadn't been released, and then, you know, a certain, you know, if you're following their hashtags, a fan site gets it, and that's how I've seen the photos get released. The creative people.
Yeah, now that I keep looking at it, I definitely can see why it wasn't used, because Maxine, her body language is amazing, but her face is like, it's probably a bit too candid. Like, you know, the rest of the ladies, like, it's like kind of like a beauty shot. But Maxine she's like, you know, probably, I don't know what she's telling Dawn, but it must be good. He's like, girl, they got some crab cakes for lunch, girl. Or something. But I love it.
Well, not many people know that this was actually the style that they planned for EV3 before Dawn left, but they felt that they needed to change the style to compensate for the sex appeal that left with Dawn.
I mean, I can see that. I mean, Dawn does have that edge. She's always had that edge, so I can kind of see that.
I don't get what that means.
I mean, I think like with the like when you think about the EV3 cover, and even like maybe some of the looks from the video, they did. I think they did try to up the sexy in like a more traditional way, and less of a like En Vogue classy kind of way. Like, I don't know. Just they probably knew that the void was there and they had to fill it.
Even in the Don't Let Go video, like, you know, they all look amazing. I love how they were styled, but, you know, Maxine is in that bodysuit. She's fully covered, you know, with a little bit of breast, a peekaboo of her boobies. Cindy is fully covered with that. She has on a blouse, but it's covered with that leather jacket. You know what I mean? But I would say Dawn is showing the most skin. You know, the girls are out and they're sitting. The boobs are boobing. You know, so I definitely kind of see like she kind of brings that sex appeal, that edge to the group, because, you know, Cindy and Terry are known for being a little bit more conservative.
Even in a coat, even covered up in all these layers, she still was giving it to him.
But so I'm trying to get what the quote means. So are they saying that because like the sex appeal was gone, they were trying to get even more sexy, or they were just went in a totally different? Because to me, EV3, particularly like when they first came out, it was more so, I would say, avant-garde. It was more so haute couture, like whatever. You know, like that was not, oh, we're gonna wear tight dresses and mini skirts. It was, you know, they had, you know, they were wearing vinyl, and it was very goth with these big afros, and so it wasn't like, you know, summer dresses with boobs pushed up. That, like Riddle, it seemed like that's when they were like, okay, we're gonna wear these push-ups, and there's gonna be pushed up to our neck. But EV3, like Too Gone Too Long, like corresponds with that Don't Let Go album cover, but whatever. I wouldn't even say they were trying to be, to me, like if you trying to be sexy like that, I mean, you know, maybe if people are into that kind of, you know, like necrophilia or something, but they very pale and Marilyn Manson-esque. I guess we could get into that when we talk about EV3, but I'm just trying to figure out if this means that they were trying to be even more sexy, or they were like, let's just abandon sex appeal altogether.
I guess I could theorize that in every girl group, everybody has a persona. And so now that Dawn left, probably they're like, okay, let's redistribute these personas. Who's who? because Dawn leaving, that kind of takes away an aspect of the brand, I guess. This is just me theorizing, so.
It could be that maybe it's less around like sex appeal, to Matan's point, and more like they just knew they needed like an edge, like an edgier or something. Like, right. And that edge came in like this sort of couture moment versus streetwear or something. You know what I mean? Like, but they, okay. Maybe that's what it was. Let's get into the discussion for this episode, which is about the album EV3. We always like to start a little bit with history. So, about EV3, in response to the large commercial success of Don't Let Go, the group got to work on its third studio album, and it was released on June the 17th, 1997, and it was originally titled Friendship, and it includes songs produced by Foster and McElroy, Ivan Mateus, Babyface, David Foster, and Organized Noize.
So the album debuted in the U.S. at number 8 on both Billboard's top R&B and hip hop albums chart and the Billboard 200 with sales of 76.5 thousand units. The band's highest first week numbers. Kudos. As the album neared completion, Dawn chose to leave the group in April 1997 after contractual negotiations reached a stalemate.
I remember that MTV News. You know how it just used to pop up on the screen? This is MTV News. And it was like, Donna's out the group. But when she left, her departure from En Vogue forced Maxine, Cindy, and Terry to re-record several of Dawn's original lead vocals. However, not every track was re-recorded, with Robinson's leads remaining intact on several tracks and her background vocals still appearing on every song, with the exception of Does Anybody Hear Me? And most likely Eyes of a Child. That seems to have been written after her departure, because she's not credited as a writer on that song. EV3 was certified 1x platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America, selling over 1 million copies in the United States.
So EV3 featured 4 singles: Don't Let Go, Love, Whatever, Too Gone, Too Long, and Let It Flow. EV3 received mixed reviews from critics, many of whom praised the band's vocal performances, but were critical with overall production.
I agree with the critics in that regard. I'm seeing in my head, I don't remember his name, but he was like a Billboard editor. And back in the day, like editors, like if you watch VH1 and all those types of channels and the shows on there are certain people who you remember. So you might remember seeing the guy. He was like an older white guy, but I remember him. He had a column and he just talked about how for every good song on EV3, there was an equally bad one. And I mean, we can agree or disagree on, which were the good ones and which were the bad ones. But I do think just as far as consistency, there really wasn't any. Like, I like the record. I think the production is good, but it, I guess we'll get into that later, but I can kind of see how people had, not too great feelings about it.
The sound was definitely a little watered down to me. I think we discussed this before on like a past episode where En Vogue was becoming more mainstream, and with Don't Let Go being one of their biggest mainstream hits, I can see record companies wanted them to kind of be a little marketable for mainstream audiences, but these song choices, I feel like it just waters them down. They're a soulful R&B group. They need to do soulful R&B music, that can reach the masses. But I just feel like a lot of these song choices that are on this album are really poor song choices, in my opinion. In my humble opinion.
Did you know En Vogue was nominated for a Grammy Award for Best R&B Vocal Performance by a duo or group for Don't Let Go, but lost to Celine Dion? Now, how did they lose to Celine Dion? She's not a group or duo. Oh,
no. It was, that actually went to the Fugees for Killing Me Softly. That was a stat category, though, because it was, Killing Me Softly was that category, Slow Jams. Then they had Never Miss the Water with Shaka Khan and Michelle Ndegeocello. And then they also had Stomp.
Okay, I think Killing Me Softly, even though it's a cover, I don't know. See, that's the thing. Best group R&B or duo. Like, like Lauren went into the studio. She did all of the background vocals. She did probably all of the lead. All you heard, Wyclef might have, what did he say in the song? He might have just yelled something, but that wasn't really a group performance. I'm trying to think. Killing Me, like, it wasn't Praz and Wyclef harmonizing. It was probably all Lauren. She did everything. And if it was someone else singing, it wasn't Praz or Wyclef. So why would they win? Like, to me, that's not fair. But, the Grammys are trash.
The Grammys are never fair. But that's interesting. Killing Me Softly was a huge song. Like,
it was a huge song.
So I can definitely see why it won.
But En Vogue did win a Soul Train Lady of Soul Award for Best R&B, Rap, or Soul Single by Group, Band, or Duo, and was also nominated for the Billboard Music Award for Top Soundtrack Single.
All right, so the album reviews. Ann Powers, writing for Spin, felt that the album follows the groove laid down by the group's creators, Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy, expressing female prowess in terms of love, sexy seductiveness, socially conscious righteousness, and all that independent attitude. Complimenting En Vogue's flawless form, she concluded that, like an acrobatic Jordan jam with a minute left in the fourth quarter, EV3 elicits a familiar, gleeful wonder at humanity's potential.
And also, the Los Angeles Times writer, Connie Johnson, felt Dawn Robinson's presence on her final work with the group was an integral part of the womanly, more mature stance of the album. She ranked Diane Warren penned Too Gone Too Long among the album's highlights, calling it a performance upon which musical reps are truly built. Too Gone Too Long is probably like one of my favorite songs by En Vogue. Diane Warren, she wrote with her golden pen when she created that thing.
And
I think that song, for me, the production, and that was David Foster. I don't know, production versus how a song started before. Magazine talks about how when they got the demo, like, it was very, I'll just say unsoulful. I can't remember what word she used. And then they kind of had to work it out so that it became what it did. So I would love to hear the actual demo and then just hear how it all came to, like, that will be interesting for me. Just like hearing like what exactly a producer does, because some producers, they apparently do nothing. And then some people, they could just totally rework an entire song. But the strings on Too Gone Too Long, like, just not even like, I could listen to the instrumental of that song, like the changes, the chord changes and progressions. I get what that critic is saying. That's a great song.
I loved Too Gone Too Long when it first, like, initially, but now it's one of those songs that doesn't hit for me anymore. Like, I like other songs better on EV3. It's something about it now. I don't know. It's weird. It's the sound of that song is so, I don't know. I think when I think about Diane Warren and David Foster songs, to me, it's just not as good as some of the other ones. Like, when I think about Have You Ever or For You I Will, or, kind of that era where, every R&B diva had to have a Diane Warren, David Foster collaboration. I don't know. That one just does not, I don't know.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Monica and Brandy songs, because like those are kind of, being in love and I'm so in love. And then she gave En Vogue the one where it's like, I don't love you, like, it's over, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back. I wonder why. And knowing that there was a demo, was that song written with them in mind, or did, they have an A&R person who was like, oh, Diane Warren has this song. And another interesting thing is that Andrea Martin has said that Don't Let Go, they had Aerosmith in mind. And Ivan Mateo said it was for the Armageddon soundtrack. Then Diane Warren wrote I Don't Want to Miss a Thing for Aerosmith for the Armageddon soundtrack, which, ended up being like this huge song. I think it was like a #1 for Aerosmith. And so wouldn't that have been interesting if they would have got like a big love song like that? Like, to me, it's just interesting that Diane Warren is known mainly for love songs. I'm in love type of love songs. And then for them, she didn't give them that. She gave them you know, did I hear you say that? You know, all instead of...
You know what it is? It reminds me of Whitney Houston's song, I Learned from the Best.
Or Whitney Houston's I Learned from the Best reminds you of Too Gone Too Long, because Too Gone Too Long came out first.
Yeah.
But do you like Whitney's version better?
I do.
I'll say though, maybe, I don't know. I think Diane Warren and David Foster songs in particular, this might be a controversial opinion. I don't think that they don't feel as fresh and timeless. Like, they are very time and place for me. Like, they feel like late 90s, early 2000s, like, which isn't a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think 20 years later, it makes other songs feel a little fresher to me than, yeah, Diane Warren, she is a beast of a writer, but like, I could never listen to My Heart Will Go On. Did she write that? She wrote that, yes. Who wrote that? What did she write? What was the big, like, oh, she's never won an Oscar, so it wasn't that one.
She's done Because You Love Me by Celine Dion. I'm pretty sure that was her.
Yeah, she did that.
I don't think she...
Yeah.
She did. And you know, it's funny that you asked that because I was looking at that to see who did what, but that's the main song that I can remember. But How Do I Live Without You?
How Do I Live? Like, they're just like these.
She did Unbreak My Heart.
Unbreak My Heart.
Oh yeah, she did Unbreak My Heart.
Yeah, she's like a beast of a writer, but like, I don't know, maybe it's the production part, because the songs are good, but I think maybe the production feels dated. Maybe that's what it is. But it is interesting to think, because she was hot. So like, I don't think that she wrote this with En Vogue in mind. I think they was like, what you got? Send us something.
And that's a no. That's a no.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. It sounds very like kind of off the assembly line. Like it doesn't sound like En Vogue. It's not something that, you know, it doesn't sound like one of their signature sounds. It's just kind of like, you know, it's a pop R&B, pop soul type of, you know, run of the mill song. But you know, a song I do love that Diane did for a group, The Arms of the One Who Loves You by Escape.
I'm so happy you like that song. What did you think about No Fool, No More? Well, maybe we can talk about that later. She wrote with them twice. I think the second time it wasn't produced by David Foster. But I have an interesting story that I don't think is like known. I know Rona told me. I remember this is when I met her at she was at some event she was speaking. She worked with David Foster on I Want to Know What Love Is. She did a cover of that, but it was not released. I forget who produced the version that was released on her solo CD. But that's just so interesting to me. Like, that's why I'm like, what exactly does a producer do? Because, you know, it's already a cover. So what is it that a producer adds that makes a song really pop? And in the case of this record, I'm just thinking like kind of all of the producers, they failed En Vogue in a certain sense. And En Vogue has to take credit too by not really making a cohesive album. Like, none of the songs are really bad. Like, I can listen to all of the songs, but as a collective album, how everything kind of flows together, there's really kind of no flow. And so like with Tommy and Denny prior to that, like at least they had like kind of interludes kind of guiding you through, but like with this record there was just, you know, really nothing kind of like making it an En Vogue experience. Like all of that personality from Funky Divas and Born to Sing was, you know, it wasn't there. And I know interludes don't make an album, but like that's just one thing. And then, you know, kind of like what songs did the Funky Divas show up on? I would say they kind of showed up on Too Gone Too Long, but a lot of times it was just, you know, like very, it was like it was simmering, but it never exploded. You know, it was like smoke, but no fire.
Well, opposed to this, Stephen Leo Stanley from AllMusic found that Dawn Robinson's departure left the album unaffected since the group's harmonies remain remarkably supple and soulful. Quote, while he considered EV3 full of enough strong moments, he was critical of the band's decision to work with Warren and regular producer David Foster and their adult contemporary sound on Too Gone Too Long.
Oh, so he agreed with us.
That's the word. That's the phrase I was looking for. Adult contemporary. Yes, it feels very adult contemporary.
Well, and just going along with that, Chicago Tribune editor Monica Ng commented that EV3 found the band dabbling in an array of genres, trying to find their new voice with uneven results. And to kind of piggyback off that, like, why did they need to find a new voice? And I get, because there's one thing, a new sound, but then a new voice. And I do kind of feel like they were looking for a new voice, but you had a persona from Funky Divas to kind of go off on. And I feel like when the Funky Divas showed up, you'll be fine. And so in a song like Don't Let Go, like that was super funky. The bass line, the rhythm section, like it didn't sound just like Free Your Mind or anything, but it kind of had that attitude and that kind of vibe. And so, like, that's what you kind of expect from En Vogue. So you've been cultivating this fan base and kind of cultivating this aura. And then on a lot of songs, and it doesn't have to be on every song, but it should be on enough. En Vogue is known for, like, big songs. All of their hits are pretty much these big songs, the anthems that when you're at a concert, sing along to this part. Everybody's ready to sing along. And on EV3, like, whatever's a very, very, very mellow song, I love it. It's just very mellow. There's, Too Gone Too Long is like the one big one. All of the other songs are they're very laid back. And so I wonder why En Vogue felt the need to be so laid back on all of these songs and I have like a big dance moment, or I guess, like I said, as far as the ballad, that was Too Gone Too Long's role. But Right Direction, I love that song, but it's just slow burn. Eyes of a Child, slow burn. What a difference a day makes, slow burn. Like, there's never like really big climaxes and peaks, in the songs. Or, none of the songs are really big except like maybe Don't Let Go and Too Gone Too Long, I think.
This album to me felt like Reading Rainbow. I promise you, I was just I just feel like I'm like, this is songs that they're like, it's very much Reading Rainbow to me, like inspirational, and I'm like, girl, and I'm kind of like, it's like, where is En Vogue? Literally, besides whatever, Don't Let Go and Too Gone Too Long, I was just kind of like, where is En Vogue at? And it was very, very like underwhelming to me. Let It Flow, I thought was cool until they did their guest appearance on the Wayans Brothers, and it kind of gave the song like a new life. I kind of feel like that with Beyonce songs a lot. Like some songs, I feel like I need to see a visual in order to really understand the song itself. And so it kind of made me like the song a little bit more. So when I listen to it, I think about them coming down the elevator, and like, bouncing, and I think about that. So it kind of gives the song life to me. But yeah, the album was very much Reading Rainbow to me. Sorry to the listeners and you guys who have favorites on there that you like, sorry to En Vogue. I know y'all put your all into it, or did you? But I know that you guys worked hard to make this album, but I just was underwhelmed by it as a whole.
And I just have to say, like, it's not that I don't like the songs, it's that as an album. And I mean, I'm trying to think, like, what I like in an album. Like,
this album I remember buying the album, taking it home and listening to it and being so disappointed. And it made me feel like they just got old overnight. It was like they were like this sexy, fun, funky group. And then this album came out and it was just very like, these guitars, acoustic sounding, like adult contemporary, like songs. I was just so baffled. I was so baffled.
I feel like the phrase adult contemporary is like a spell being cast by a witch.
But like,
adult contemporary.
But
it's such a curse.
But I will say this though. One song from this album that I totally like never listened to before that I love now is Sitting by Heaven's Door.
My love, we're vowed to be together through the good times and stormy weather. Ooh, but if fog grows, it should lose you in sun darkness. You should always know I'll be sitting by heaven's door.
They sang their butts off.
I love that song now. I hated it. Like, I just never listened to it before, but I think I really like it because Dawn is on it, but like I really
Cindy and Terry ate that song.
I really
especially the end.
I just really enjoyed that song. It's a nice message. Like the lyrics really kind of make me teary because it's really nice. So I'll give them that. And that definitely has a more adult sound, but it's still a little bit more soulful than some of the other songs.
It's interesting you say that song because I remember there was a critic who was like kind of critical of it, but he was like, that's the song where it seems like they just, went in and just sang. Like it was like almost a jam session that was very organic. Yeah. Where some of the other songs is just like a slow burn that doesn't really go anywhere. So, but yeah, I love especially Cindy and Terry at the end. Like Cindy's going all the way into the 6th octave, but enunciating like she's talking like these incredibly high parts, and Terry's holding like these notes forever. I do. And
I also wonder though, how the parts would have been arranged if all 4 of them were still there, because I'm sure they wouldn't have been split up that way. So that would have been interesting too, to hear like who would have sang what on all of these songs actually.
Oh, the songs that Dawn aren't on?
Yeah, or the ones that she's still on. Like, I just wonder, like, if it were all 4 of them. Like, I don't think, because En Vogue never really, when it was all 4 of them, they never really tried to sing everything, just to make sure everyone had a part, as far as the lead. You know what I mean?
I feel like there's, like, I actually think the album's, like, these critics who said, like, it's, uneven and all this, I actually think it's pretty consistent. I just don't think it's necessarily the right kind of consistent. Like, I think it's got a real consistent tone to it, which I think like we've sort of named in a lot of different ways. But like, I also just think that they were, I think I said this on a previous episode. I believe I think they were trying to push them in a direction that was not, like, was way more pop, clean, like, sound. Because, I mean, think about that. 97, like, that was when you had, like, the big Diane Warren, like, How Do I Live and all these other kinds of things. It was very sanitized. It was very, like, clean cut kind of sounding songs. And that's what most of these are, is kind of like these very chill guitar strummy songs. And so, like, I wish that they were leaning more on the core audience they knew they had and weren't so hopeful that because they had their biggest pop hit that they could now shift them all the way on the other end and it was going to work.
Right.
But their biggest pop hit was still a R&B song though. That's the thing though. It was like, yeah, it was a pop hit, but it was still very much R&B and soul. So why?
I think it was a rock song. I feel like if Aerosmith would have did that song the same key, same arrangement, like, people would call it a rock song, but because they're Black women, it's R&B. I feel like Don't Let Go was it's almost Led Zeppelin type of, hard rock.
I mean, it has a lead guitar in it, but I feel like it's still R&B.
Well, because En Vogue is doing it. It's like when white people do dance music, it's like alternative. Like they'll play it on an alternative station, but had a black artist have done it or anyone else, it would have been dance music. So I don't know, like that label, like I look at it as a rock song, and it's not lost upon me that like their biggest hit was intended for a rock group. I wish that was more so the direction that they went in with the record. I feel like rock, just at that time, it was a little bit more edgy than R&B. R&B was, like you've all said, becoming a little bit more sanitized, becoming a little bit more adult contemporary for like the older acts, and becoming a little bit more pop for the younger acts. And with En Vogue, you're the funky divas. Like I feel like they can pull off rock music really well. I really wish maybe they would have worked with like I don't know if Beck is a producer, but whoever was producing Beck, Mike Elizondo, like some actual rock producers, I think that would have given them all of the edge that they needed. The music doesn't really have an edge, but like the look had an edge, so it kind of didn't correspond. And so like you have, which we'll probably get into later, but like a video like Whatever, like R&B audiences hated that look. Like I remember the reviews of Whatever video, but it's like a typical R&B song. So you could have like Changing Faces and SWV with like someone, which kind of has a similar kind of feel to me. They had like, moderate hits with those songs, but En Vogue made like a very standard R&B song, but gave like this kind of, Marilyn Manson, look, and they got panned. So I wish they would have went for the edge, but went for it with like people who could actually give it to them. And the last thing I'll say regarding this is that like Don't Let Go was produced by Organized Noize. Organized Noize didn't produce anything else on the record. I wish instead of Andrea and Ivan, they would have worked with Organized Noize as producers.
I think we might have done some of this already, but what do y'all remember about when the album was released? Like, did you buy it on the day that it was released? Did you go like to an album signing or anything? Like, what do y'all remember about the day it dropped?
The Spice Girls was my introduction to girl groups. So En Vogue had already had their like main era before my love for girl groups happened. So I kind of had to go back and like do like a research session to kind of get familiar with their entire, brand or whatever.
I'm so happy you brought that perspective. I forgot about like the Spice Girls. It was like 96 and maybe in UK, but then like in 97, like they really came to like the US. I don't know the timeline, but I remember, like the Spice Girls were huge, and that's a girl group influenced by En Vogue.
And I was like obsessed with the Spice Girls.
Me too.
I literally had the Spice Girls video game on PlayStation.
Too.
What?
Me too.
Yes, Josh.
Listen, it was a problem. You remember them like Tiger Beat magazines and like J17 or whatever it was?
Yes.
I had bought one and they had put that Posh Spice's birthday was April 7th, which is my birthday. And so I was like, that was my favorite Spice Girl. So I was like, oh shit.
Oh, she's mine too.
And so I was like, oh my God. So I made my mother put her on my birthday cake with like, it said happy birthday, Josh and Posh Spice, like on the birthday cake. And then I found out that it was a misprint and her birthday was actually the 17th of April. So like, I was heartbroken, but
that is trash.
I think it's a good thing to think about them in the context of girl groups at the time, because they were kind of given edgy and different. I mean, they were like definitely like kind of like young 21-year-olds, but like I don't know why they were allowed to do all that and En Vogue had to be relegated to the senior center.
And especially because they wrote their music, they were credited as writers. Like they still get royalties for like every one of their hits. It's kind of like to kind of compare, this new group of English women to this, established brand of Black women in America, and how the balance of power is in one side's favor, but not the other side's
and
favor.
They were basing their pop hits off of R&B like components, like, which is, so it's kind of the scam. Like they kind of was, it was a lot.
I will say that on one Sunday, coming home from church, one of the people at our church had this big house or whatever, and they would invite everybody over, they barbecue or whatever. So anyway, at that time, the adults were watching Set It Off while the kids were upstairs playing And so we were like sneaking in to like watch the movie because, it's like, guns and robberies, we're trying to be what those doing. And so I snuck in literally on the sex scene. And that was my first time hearing Don't Let Go. Was watching Blair Underwood and Jada Pinkett do the nasty. And so that was my first time hearing the song. Then of course I got caught. They're like, "Check, get out of here! You can't be seeing this. It's for adults." But that's one of my memories or whatever.
Well, for me, I think I didn't get it when it first came out. It looked like it came out in May. I got it on my birthday in November. But I remember my cousin, he went to the album signing. They did the album signing at the Beverly Center. And I think En Vogue Craze might have a clip of that on their channel, on the channel. And so they did an album signing, and it's the one where like they have on these amazing suits. Like I love the styling during the EV3 era. So like there's these black wool suits, but it like has kind of like this graphic art, kind of like clouds or thunder or something on them. They look really cool. So avant-garde. So ahead of the time, people are trying to do that now. So I remember him, really complimenting Cindy and how I don't know why he said she was tall, because to me she's not tall, but I'm 5'10". I think I'm a little bit taller than him, but he was like, she's just tall, drinking water. And like you can see clips of them, and they still have like a very large fan base. And that was probably like the last time, they did like an album signing, and you have like hundreds or maybe even thousands of people coming out. But I didn't get it until November. So I think whatever Too Gone Too Long, those had already been singles. And that's my experience with EV3. I remember seeing it in the store and just waiting for my birthday. I knew I would get it on my birthday. But so if no one else wants to share, we can get into emotional themes and lyrical messages on EV3. Love, romance, social issues.
I'm not a fan. Like, I kind of wanted them to go, like, I wanted them to have like a ain't shit, you like I've been done wrong, like scorned and angry kind of album. Like that's what I really
that's a
wanted.
Masterpiece Theater.
I wish they would have taken a moment after Dawn left, after they had went through how many years between Funky Divas and EV3?
Funky Divas was in 1992, so that's about 5
They done got all the way to the finish line with almost with an album. And then your group member leaves. I wish they would have taken a pause, scrapped some things, and would have went back and said, let's channel all of our anger at this woman and put it into our music.
Oh, that would have been
and
good.
Then gave us something
they were trying to
awfully
capitalize
nasty.
off of, the success.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not that invested in the EV3 album to really even care about whatever. Here's the thing. I will say this. Because of Free Your Mind, I feel like because it was such a huge culturally impactful song, I can kind of see why the group and the producers and even the label will want to kind of, keep that theme going. Like, okay, let's not forget about, having like a socially conscious song with a social message. I understand that, but I feel like when you are already trying to package your album before you have even made your album, it puts you in a box, So I just kind of feel like they're like, oh, let's do these themes. Let's stick to this theme. And that's what they came up with versus like, you know what? Let's just record songs. Let's just go for it. And then choose the best 12 or whatever. I don't get that. What I get from it is that they had a theme for the album, which was friendship, and they chose songs that fit into that theme. And I don't think that it worked out in the end, unfortunately. These are my opinions, just so you know. All the listeners, you guys like to complain that we're harsh, but I don't care, baby. These are my opinions. And you can have yours. And if you have an issue, you feel free to @ me, and I will gladly have a conversation with you, baby. Gladly have a conversation.
Oh, wow.
Cause I know they're gonna go in on me because I'm saying I don't like this album. I know they are. It's gonna be that. It's those same 3 people that be commenting talking about, oh, y'all too harsh or y'all And mind you, I'll be replying to their comments and they don't reply back to me. But anyways, that's my rant. That's my rant. Let me stop. I don't even know why I said that.
Well, the album cover, yay or nay? Do you guys love it or hate it?
Love it.
In the words of the great prophet Raja, it's a shoot.
I love it. I think that's my favorite thing about the whole project is the looks. The looks like supersede everything else. But the looks don't match the album. The looks don't match the music.
The picture that Kevin posted of the Candid of the Don't Let Go shoot, I love that look. And then of course their styling in the Too Gone Too Long video is amazing. Their styling in the Don't Let Go video is amazing because in that era, for Black girls entertainment, it was really glamorous. It was really like New York street style, like we're going to like a lounge. Like it was very much that.
The closest thing I can think of at the time, and we'll talk about this I think in a little bit, is visually at least, is the Velvet Rope era, because Janet was kind of giving these interesting like think about what she was doing with her hair at the time and how she was kind of like styling in interesting ways. She had like more of a, like, think about the Got Till It's Gone video. Like that is like, it was an R&B song, but it was kind of giving this really interesting visual around like South Africa and like these interesting tweeds and textures and patterns and things. And so that feels a lot like that single cover and even the album cover, but it worked musically for Janet in that way that I don't think it worked when you have a glossy song like Too Gone Too Long. Like
this is the look that I think they should have just carried through for EV3.
Yeah. Yes.
What is wait? 100%. Describe for the listeners. Which
that's the international whatever single cover, right?
Yeah. So it's giving high fashion. It's giving sexy. It's giving, you know, it doesn't look country chic.
What is country chic? I would love to see you point out like a country artist who wore something similar, because I can't think of, like, maybe the Dixie
like
Chicks later, but they didn't
like
even
the
wear tight.
countryside. Like,
yeah, I'm not speaking about country artists, but I'm talking about like country, like
not like Western.
I don't think country is the right word.
It just looks very like country, like.
I think it's giving English countryside. It's giving English countryside.
Like, when I think about style in 97, Too Gone Too Long is like the perfect description of like that video. Like when they were in like the black skirts and with the slits, like that was very like in style.
That's what I don't like about the album cover. Like, I think the styling is great, but you can't really see what it's giving. And so I think in the episode where we talked about album covers and we really went in depth into album covers, like Stacey Dash had on the same dress Terry had on in an episode of Clueless. If you remember back in the day, Clueless was a TV show on UPN. And, you know, Stacey Dash, of course, is a beauty, but so is Terry. But you can see like the back out. And so I just wish they would have photographed them better. I think the photographers in this case, who I don't want to get the people wrong, but they're the same one who did SWV's Release Some Tension album cover, which came out probably like a couple of months later. So the same green couch, and like, you know, SWV never really gives anything, but like they really look like they, you know, were famished that day. They just are kind of like laying on each other. So like the photographers, to me, they could have pulled out a little bit more, showed the body, like, I don't know, maybe got some poses or something. It really looks like they're just sitting on the couch. So if you can kind of...
You know what I think about? I'm referencing in my mind is Backstreet Boys, when they did the Backstreet's Back Alright video, when they were like different Halloween characters, you know. So I'm saying that because I feel like, you know, the album cover, it's kind of reminiscent of the Whatever video. So that styling and theme is kind of like continuing with the album cover art. But I think that I love the consistency, but I think that the styling for that video should have been for that video. You know what I mean? Because even though Backstreet Boys did that video, that wasn't the conceptual, the overall concept of the album that they did. They still, when you saw the album cover, they still look like heartthrobs, you know? So I think that look could have been for the Whatever video, but then when the album cover is here, it's like, well, let's just be these gorgeous, statuesque black women, you know, looking trendy, you know.
I think they could have captured that with the same look and the same thing if there were better photographers. Like, maybe people do different things. So maybe some people know how to capture still and some people know how to capture motion. But like, if they would have kind of captured motion and showed because their bodies, you know, they're in great shape, everything. It's just kind of like how the Don't Let Go single cover, those look very different to me, the one that was released as opposed to the outtake. Like Cindy, it looks like she has no buckle fat in the outtake. So I don't know, it just, some people know how to capture motion, some people don't. I feel like if you could see, you know, them in motion, it will look so much better and not have that couch, that green couch. But that's all I'll say.
All right, so what are your favorite songs from the album? Or top 3?
Well, I definitely have to give it up for Eyes of a Child. I feel like so much of what is going on now, you know, like when I think about those the victims in Uvalde, Texas, you know, just songs like that. I don't know if people still make songs like that just very conscious of the way we treat children and, what we say to children and what we're implanting in children. So I thought I love that lyrically. I love some of the chords in there. Like I love that, and it may seem like I'm dreaming, and the bass goes dun dun dun. I love that moment of the song. So I love that kind of vulnerability. Top 3. So that's one of them. I would say definitely Too Gone Too Long, and You're All I Need. I think Cindy gave an extremely great vocal performance.
That could have been a single.
Yeah, very heartfelt. I love the end when she kind of Josh and Champ were talking about last week, how she can sing up the scale. She kind of does this thing that I don't think any other R&B singer or anyone singing R&B could do, where it's like, you're all I need. Of course I can't do it. It was just
Jasmine
beautiful.
Sullivan can do it.
Ugh.
Oh, really?
You know what, JP? I don't need your Jasmine Sullivan hate today, okay? I don't
hate Jasmine Sullivan, but I just, her voice, it's more so maybe the tone to me that I don't care for. And I never realized how important tone was until someone was like, I don't really like Mariah Carey. And I was like, well, how could you not like Mariah Carey? It's like the tone. I was like, So that's what Jasmine is for me, like the clarity in her voice. So maybe she can, do that kind of operatic thing Cindy did, but it wouldn't sound the same. Maybe like the keys, the glide or whatever it's called. But those are my 3.
Well, my favorite songs are the songs that they still perform today. Which ones are those? I am so petty. Let me stop.
They perform whatever sometimes.
No,
sometimes.
my favorite song is Whatever, Too Long Too Long, and Don't Let Go.
Mine are Whatever's number 1. I would say they did pick the best, I think, singles off that album. So of all of the things, Whatever and Too Gone Too Long are top 2 for me. And I really do love Let It Flow. I think it's, y'all know I like a mid-tempo groove, and that's giving it to me. So
that song would be cute if they was not meowing like cats. Like what?
That is edgy to me. That matches some of these images that don't work.
Not edgy.
I mean, they ain't gotta always be traditional with it.
Yeah, that kills it for me. My top 3 is I'm not gonna count Don't Let Go because I feel like it's a standalone. It shouldn't have even been on the album. Whatever is I listen to it all the time. It's still in regular rotation. I wish the whole album kind of felt like that and had that kind of R&B flavor to it. Damn, I Want to Be Your Lover. I love that song. I think Terry kills it on that one. And Sitting by Heaven's Door is the other one that I really like. I also kind of have gotten into Right Direction a little bit more. I was listening to that a lot last week.
What are your least favorite tracks on the album?
Does anybody hear me? Ooh.
Yes.
I'll give you my reason why, because I don't want to just, leave it there. It's Sylvia, and I have multiple people have to be blamed for that. So it's En Vogue, it's Ivan Mateus, it's Sylvie Rhone, and it's Marilyn Bob, because somebody should have just been like, okay, we need to remix this, because it's not so much I feel like if it was deep house or just any kind of just something with a lot of sense, it could have started with just that. Does anybody hear me? Give a lot of reverb, David Eno type reverb. Does anybody hear me? And it just echoes, and then some kind of beat just drops, and that could have been 7 minutes to write the album out. You could have danced to, people could have, took acid to it, went to some kind of, a rave to that song. Does anybody hear me? But to it just be a cappella and the lyric, it was just a bunch of platitudes, which you could have mastered if there was a good remix, but it's I feel sad, but knowledge is power. It's just stuff was coming out of nowhere. So the more you know, Reading Rainbow, This Is Your Brain on Drugs, there was really nothing really centered it lyrically. And then the harmonies, they could have made it a little bit more interesting and really broke down the parts, or maybe had it kind of feel they're just in the studio ad-libbing, because there's some songs, there's the Sylvester song, what is it called? I forget the name of it, but it's him and the background singers. It's Tell Me That You Love Me, and they're just ad-libbing. it sounds very organic. It sounds like a jam session. Like, that's how it should have went out. So, like, that song had potential, but it's like, it just seemed like Sylvia was like, okay, we need a 12th song. Go in the studio. You have 5 minutes. And that's what came out.
My least favorite tracks are Right Direction and Eyes of a Child.
Oh, how dare you?
How dare you say that? Only thing about Right Direction, I love it because of Maxine, honestly.
I knew it.
I'm gonna be honest.
But here's the thing. Literally, whatever song on this album, the girls kill. Because the vocals are always top tier.
That is true.
I don't care if the girls are singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. They are going to give you some top tier vocals, period. So any of my critiques about the album has nothing to do with the ladies, but everything to do with the production and the label. But
they executive produced it, so they do have to take some of the heat.
I mean, but did they?
That's like the only album. Sylvia Rowan, Merlin Bob, A&R, En Vogue, executive producers.
I mean, Soulja Boy has credit on Beyonce Lemonade, but did he really write that song?
I mean, well, she sampled him, so he got that.
I agree that they probably did have more creative input, but I also have to consider that this was the album that Dawn left, and the label, Sylvia Rowan, were scrambling, trying to figure out what to do with that. So
but that's 2 songs. She left.
I know, but I'm just saying, I just feel like there was probably more label oversight than
she recorded most of the album. She owned all the songs.
I'm not blaming anything on the ladies. I'm blaming the label.
And I'll take that. Yeah, because Ivan and Andrea, I'm not sure how you say your name, they shouldn't have got as many songs as they did. They should not have gotten that many songs. And well, that's who I'll call out on this episode.
Who produced Don't Let Go?
Organized Noize.
Organized Noize.
Yeah,
and they brought live drums. Why can't we have live drums? What do people have against live drums? Why is everything a drum machine?
It's expensive. It's expensive. Organized Noize and Babyface should have produced the whole album.
Yes, I needed like a couple more records in the vein of whatever, because that is one song that does not sound dated at all to me. It sounds just yeah.
Let me tell you, I turn whatever on in the gym, and it still knocks, and I still do that little hip move too, on the elliptical. Everybody be like, "What is he doing?"
Like, how do you record a song like whatever and do not be like, oh, y'all got to go back in there and do that a couple more times? Like,
that's the A&R person and Sylvia Rowan.
I need some more. And like, I can't just have one song because that was that. Okay, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm gonna get mad about it. I'm gonna get mad.
Well, I think that's why it didn't work in the end, because like. I remember, this is a weird example. I remember when Tweet's album came out, and I was so excited because I loved Oops Oh My. And I was in middle school, and I got that album, and all of it was guitar strumming. And, now keep in mind, I love that album to like, I love that album more and more and more and more and more with each year. But like, it was kind of like the hook was the hook to get people listening was the most commercial track. And then they were like, let's sneak the rest of it in there. And it feels a little bit like that with this album, because like whatever is such a strong song to lead on, especially with such a striking visual, for it to like, for the rest of it to just not match the same energy.
Yeah, but the thing is though, like, I think Oops was one of the last records Tweet did. Like, whatever wasn't even like one of the last records, because Dawn is on that record too. So it's like they did that pretty, I guess midway through or early on in the recording process. So it's not like it was like, the last song that they were recording. So it's like they could have continued.
I'm going to put it on. I agree. I'm going to put it on the label, because the label should have said, like go the right direction is over there, not whatever this.
And have y'all heard the version of Whatever with Dawn on it?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't remarkable. I've heard it.
My least faves, I feel like we've said them. I'm not a fan of Does Anybody Hear Me? Especially not as an album closer. No.
Right.
And then, probably, Yeah, probably What a Difference a Day Makes.
Okay, so EV3 had 3 official music videos. If you count Don't Let Go, there was Don't Let Go, directed by Matthew Rolston, their longtime photographer. He also directed Foolish Games by Jewel, Candyman by Christina Aguilera. You might know The Power of Goodbye, Madonna, one of my all-time favorite Madonna songs. And of course, he did My Lovin' You're Never Gonna Get It for En Vogue. He did, What a Man with En Vogue and Salt and Pepper. Then he went on to do Whatever. And then Too Gone Too Long was directed by Francis Lawrence, who did Waiting for Tonight, Jennifer Lopez, Turn Your Lights Down Low, Lauryn Hill and Bob Marley, Independent Women, That Monstrosity by Destiny's Child, and he also directed The Hunger Games 2 and 3. So what are your favorite music videos, guys? Tell me.
Whatever.
I could just do a whole, I love that video so much. And I can say that I didn't like it when it first came out. And I feel like it did sink the album because so many people didn't appreciate it at the time. So maybe if it was like the second single, it wouldn't have, had such a negative impact on the album.
I think the visuals were very polarizing. I think the song would have done, because the song did well. Didn't it peak at like number 11 or 12 or something like that on the Hot 100?
It wasn't, somewhere beneath the top 10 and the top 20. I don't know the exact number.
Yeah,
maybe 11, 12, 14.
I just think the visuals were so polarizing. That's not what people wanted to see. If they had the same song with just like some sexy, outfits that were more mainstream high fashion, and some cute choreography, I think it definitely could have been a completely different, scenario.
Hey, I'm Terry Ellis. That wasn't me. And you're back with more Planet Groove. That was whatever. I know. We never really got a chance to talk about that video. I know it was whatever, huh? Whatever. What happened was, when we decided to do that video, we sat down with the video director and, he had these wild ideas and, you thought that was bad. Some of those ideas we vetoed because they were really bad. But that's what happens when you take too long to get back to work. But, hey, somebody liked it. I started seeing that stuff showing up in other videos. Some of those weird moves and stuff. Somebody liked it. At any rate, that's what it was. Whatever. Hey, it was whatever. It was the artistic moment we had.
Because now everybody's giving that now. Like, that look now is, that's kind of in.
It's Rihanna, Disturbia, type
American Horror Story, all that kind of yeah.
You know what? I feel like whatever is definitely my favorite video as well because of to me how timeless it is. I feel like whatever as a video could come out today and still feel current. I feel the same way about Free Your Mind video as well. I think whatever should have gotten a rap feature.
Probably on some remixes it did.
ODB. By a real rapper?
ODB is a real rapper.
Oh, you said
okay.
ODB?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I ain't never heard that.
I know. I think the person who should have featured on it was either Missy Elliott or Busta Rhymes.
I'm happy you said that.
Because the concept of the video, it fits their aesthetic too. Missy and Busta were always known for like being avant-garde, super out there, super, daring. So I feel like this whole style would have went so well with them.
That's so interesting because that is fascinating to me because yes, at the time Missy was given super duper fly and was like, so we were cool with it in hip hop, but En Vogue doing it and giving this aesthetic wasn't. I will die on the hill that part of the reason also is because I just don't think that people wanted to let black women go that far and edgy and different, because I don't understand why Busta Rhymes can really play with that kind of aesthetic for years and years and years and it not be a problem.
You know what? You know why? This is me looking at it from a marketing standpoint, right? Busta Rhymes is not an attractive man,
right?
He has a very unique look. You don't look at him and be like, "Dang, Busta Rhymes is sexy." you look at him and say, dang, he is so talented, and his brand is so out there. So I feel like he can get away with it because it wasn't his face.
The beauty wasn't part of the package.
Exactly.
Right. And En Vogue was a branded, En Vogue was a branded crew, and they what made them hot was the fact that they were beautiful, they were classy, they were sexy.
Yeah, they were
That's
sexy.
what,
and Missy Elliott is a big one, and she was a curvy girl back then. So it's like, sexy is not her aesthetic, glamour isn't her aesthetic. Being weird and awkward and owning, like, that was her aesthetic. So I feel like it's like, well, I can't be as sexy as a big woman in this current climate of the industry, so I'm gonna be super weird. But I feel like for En Vogue, people wanted the glamour, and this video or this look was kind of like a deterrent from the glamour. It was very editorial. It was very Vogue. It was very much, European, and they look great. Like, looking back on it, they look great. But I feel like at the time, because all of the black girls, Brandy, Monica, Maya, Tamia, Deborah Cox, it's like they were all given this like really, glamorous, trendy style. And then En Vogue comes with this. It kind of throws it off. So I understand,
and
like,
if
why.
we're being honest, though,
in context, I disagree. Like, Escape had those suits before 1997. Brandy looked like a teenager. Monica looked like a teenager. They were giving very basic, like, they was like T and Tamara with the bucket hats.
Yeah, but they weren't giving weirdo shit either.
But they weren't giving glamour either. I'm just saying they weren't really giving, like, maybe Whitney was giving glamour, but you look at Deborah Cox's video, only time I get sentimental, she's walking in jeans, like,
they were giving glamour.
I don't consider jeans glamorous.
I think Whitney is a great example because Whitney built her like she was a glamour girl. Like she was statuesque and glamorous and like put together all the time. And so, like, if Whitney had come and done something similar, the world would have been like, "What is this?" But to be fair, I think it's also genre specific too, because I think that I think white girls at the time and other genres were allowed to do this. I think about like Fiona Apple and Madonna and Garbage and all these other kinds of folks. Like, they are allowed to be messy and have like out there looks and all that other kind of stuff. Madonna literally, for the Ray of Light album, made herself like, she covered all the way up. So like, I remember when Frozen came out, I was like, what is this? But like, she was allowed to do that. Like, I feel like she was allowed to be like those things at the same time. And I just don't think that the world allowed black women singing R&B music to be anything other than sexy or other than put together and glamorous.
But it goes back to what we've been saying. Like, why are you trying to have this edge making, like, run of the mill R&B music? Like, Frozen was a huge departure. It was like electronica. She had this brilliant idea to work with William Orbit. Like, that just came out of nowhere. Like it matches the music. Like, Courtney Love, I remember actually after this when she did "Oh Make Me Over," which was the song I love. Like, she went more glamour from the grunge look, but it's like the music fit with En Vogue. It's like you have all this edge visually, but then the audience that you have, like, R&B is kind of a stale genre. It was becoming very stale towards the later parts of the 90s. Like, I don't know what happened to R&B. So if they matched if the look matched the music, I feel like maybe, but R&B is just boring.
It did for whatever though. I feel like there are parts of whatever that are creepy sounding. Like, when you pull them out, like the backgrounds are kind of like the way that they're doing, like the bum bum bum, like that is all very like odd. So I feel like it worked for that, but they should have just gave us a whole album of it.
Yeah, I can see it, but I think they could have done some creepy shit, but I think they still could have like minimized it. Like, they still should have give the people what they know you for and what they want to see. You want to see En Vogue giving you glamour, giving you sexy, but then you can do like have a creepy scene or two, but just not, that shouldn't be the whole, the whole package.
They should have had a dance break.
Yes.
They probably
give a
did.
dance break with a fierce little, cat suit moment.
Because where it works, I feel like if you're able to still implement some type of blackness into it. I feel like the concept, although high fashion and very conceptualized, it just didn't connect with their main audience like it's supposed to. When Hold On came out, everybody wanted a sexy black dress. You know what I mean? Give him something he can feel. Women still wear that for Halloween costumes today. You know what I mean? But I feel like what black girl was going to wear them outfits?
So let's transition over to our newish segment, which is about rare tracks. And so to rare tracks, B-sides, all the good stuff. This episode, we're going to talk about I've Got Your Gun, which was written and produced by Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy, and it was included on the Japanese release of EV3, and it includes all 4 original members. So, folks, what do y'all think about this track?
I think the song is cute.
It's okay. It could have replaced, something on the album. It could have replaced, Does Anybody Hear Me?
Does anybody hear me?
Yeah, it could have replaced that for sure.
I mean, I like it. I don't like that they, I can tell it's a drum machine. Like, use a drummer. But other than that, I like it. It's kind of like it is in the vein of Mariah Carey, Touch My Body, where it's just like kind of riding the melody. As a matter of fact, like it's just very melodic. So I like that. I like the ad libs. It's it's an excellent B-side. And I like it.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but I like it too. I think it's like, I definitely think it's stronger than some of the album cuts that made the actual US release. I actually think that like of the, like between this and some of the other unreleased, I actually think that I like some, in terms of unreleased stuff from any one particular era, I think the strongest unreleased stuff came out of EV3, to be quite honest. They could have swapped a bunch of them tracks out. On to submitted letters. Want to join the conversation? Send us a letter or voicemail to partofusevf@gmail.com and we'll read it in a future episode. Today's email comes from Justice Jackson.
From
and
Iowa.
Justice
I remember him.
writes, Justice says, "Hey y'all, welcome back. Congratulations on your second season premiere. As per usual, I was thoroughly entertained. It was a great way to kick off the season. I'm so happy for the girls right now. It truly feels like us EV fans are eating good right now and they are slaying. I was shocked by the new costumes and slick update arrangements. My heart is so full right now. I truly hope the ladies use this momentum to get some new music out. I want to chime in on the It's About Love segment and say I agree with both Matan and Josh's points. It's About Love is such a beautiful song and honestly is like a funkier version of Part of Me. Little trivia, the song was a bonus track on the Japanese edition of EV3. Japan always gets the best bonus tracks, don't they? Not to keep on for too long, I just wanted to check in and can't wait for the next set of episodes and topics. I will definitely be tuned in. Again, congrats to all for the new season. One love, Justice." Justice also says, by the way, the Supreme member that was mentioned was Linda Lawrence, and she joined the group in 1972 with Gene Terrell and Mary Wilson on the Floyd Joy album. She was singing on Bad Weather, though. I love her ad libs.
Yes, Justice. Linda Lawrence. She was definitely doing them ad libs on Bad Weather.
Thank you, Justice. I love this letter so much. Yes.
Yes,
for Floyd Joy. You're here with us. Justice mentioned slick update arrangements. Matan, can you elaborate
Confirm.
on like, some arrangements that have been updated for their live performances?
I can't really think of anything that's been updated. Like, Hold On sound like it sounds, every time I've seen them, and like for that venue, I think they definitely should have upped the tempo. But everything, the one cool thing was when What a Man ended, like there's kind of like this kind of like interlude before they go into Don't Let Go. But I can't think of the arrangements being different. Maybe My Lovin'. No, everything seemed the same to me musically, but it's just visually, it was, like, you have to, you probably, if you watch the clip, you've seen it where like the lights come down and then like there's this outline on the big screen of them and then it reveals this pose and then, but musically, I can't think
I saw a clip of Don't Let Go and the arrangement. It sounded different to me. I mean, the song,
What was
the
different?
song is always going to be the song, but I don't know, something about it just sounded, I think just the instrumentation sounded different to me. Like, I mean, the melody, like, they don't change the melody, of course, but it's just, I think something about the arrangement, it did sound a little bit different to me for some reason. So, you can stream Part of Us on the Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, and most other podcasting apps. For more En Vogue related content, find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram at En Vogue Craze, Twitter, at Part of Us Fancast. If you have ideas for interview requests, comments, questions, email them to us at partofusevf@gmail.com. If you like what you hear, please rate and review our podcast. Thank you, co-host, for joining. Does anyone want to share your social media handles?
I'm your little dog too on YouTube.
Written by Champ on Instagram and Twitter.
And I am at Josh Jinks, JENKS, on Twitter and Instagram.
You can find me at Everybody Loves JP on Instagram and Twitter.
Bye.
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 This episode of Part of Us at En Vogue Fancast was researched, written, produced, and edited by Matthew at Culture Inject Productions. The intro and outro music was produced by Wolves and Vincent Tone. We're more than just a podcast. We're a fan community. You can keep up to date on En Vogue and chat with other fans by visiting En Vogue Craze on Facebook. You can also follow us on YouTube and Instagram at En Vogue Craze and Twitter at Part of Us Fancast. Part of Us and En Vogue Fancast is not endorsed by En Vogue, E1 Music, or En Vogue Records, and is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. En Vogue and its names, images, and audio clips are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective copyright holders.
I really need to know, was this album really supposed to be called Friendship? It just doesn't even sound right. I've heard that title. I've heard that like for a while, but I'm like, who confirmed that?
Let's just be thankful it wasn't the title.
Okay.
That could have been a working title. You know how there's, what do you call, because you know I can never get the terms right, but when there's like certain things that are under wraps and you rename them, so it's like this is a secret. You know, like if it's a secret and you call, okay, because back then stuff used to leak, so maybe this is Secret Project Friendship. But I think Dawn, now see, I don't remember, but someone asked Dawn about that in one of the interviews, so I can't pinpoint the interview. And I don't remember if she confirmed or denied that it was supposed to be called Friendship. It might have been called EV3 Silk because it was the EV3, it was the third En Vogue album regardless. But, you know, one of the listeners can confirm that or not, because I won't be able to find that interview. And there's, hundreds of them, so I can't comb through all of them.
Regardless, when Dawn left, you can't release an album called Friendship when you just lost a member. So it had to go.
This friendship is dead, or at least on pause.